The year was 3195. Humanity had finally earned a place among the stars. After centuries of struggle, war, and rebuilding, they had become a respected member of the Galactic Council, an alliance of powerful alien civilizations that ruled most of the known galaxy. Humans had come far from their small blue planet. They built cities on Mars, colonies on distant moons, and ships that could travel faster than light. They shared technology, fought beside alien armies, and believed they were finally accepted as equals. But they were wrong. In the shining halls of the Galactic Council, where hundreds of alien voices echoed through marble-like chambers, something dark was being planned. The meeting was supposed to be about trade and security. But deep beneath the polite smiles and glowing banners, there was fear. Fear of humans. Some alien leaders whispered that humans were too dangerous, too emotional, too unpredictable. "They are a weapon that waits to explode," one counselor hissed. "They fought each other for centuries. What happens when they turn that rage on us?" So they decided. Without Earth's knowledge, the Council voted to strip humanity of its military power. Every ship, every weapon, every orbital defense would now be under Council control. And as if that was not enough, they also planned to take over several human colonies, claiming they were too unstable to govern themselves. The vote passed quietly. No human representatives were present. The meeting ended. The stars outside shimmered as always, and the fate of humanity was sealed with a signature. When the news reached Earth, the message was short and cold. By order of the Galactic Council, human defense forces are hereby dissolved. Human colonies in the outer systems will now fall under Council protection. At first there was confusion, then disbelief, then silence. The media channels tried to explain it as a temporary adjustment. Government spokesmen appeared calm on the surface, but their eyes betrayed fear. Every human soldier, engineer, and officer knew what it meant. They were being disarmed, not protected. The aliens called it peace. Humanity called it betrayal. In the capital city of New Geneva, people filled the streets. No one spoke. They simply looked up at the sky where the Council's ships patrolled above Earth, like watchful eyes. The air was heavy, not with noise, but with something far more dangerous. Silence. Across the galaxy, alien reporters laughed on news broadcasts. "Humanity has learned its place," one said. "The beast is finally tamed," another joked. "Now they will serve better, as laborers, not warriors." But deep inside human space, far from the Council's gaze, a storm was forming. On Lunar Base, Earth's largest military outpost, Admiral Rhea Morgan stood before a window, watching the distant Earth. Her reflection stared back, tired, angry, and silent. Around her, officers waited for orders. "Do we respond, Admiral?" one asked carefully. Rhea didn't answer immediately. She closed her eyes, listening to the silence across the radio channels. No commands, no resistance, no declarations. Just quiet acceptance. "No," she finally said. "Not yet." The officer frowned. "Then what do we do?" Rhea turned toward him, her eyes sharp like blades. "We remember." Those two words spread through the ranks like fire. Across outposts, colonies, and ships, humans didn't shout or riot. They didn't send threats or declarations of war. They simply went quiet. Factories slowed. Communication lines went dark. The Council believed it was surrender, that humans had given up. They couldn't have been more wrong, for when humanity goes silent, it is not a sign of peace. It is the deep breath before the storm, the stillness before everything burns. In the weeks that followed, the Council celebrated. They thought the crisis was over. Alien ambassadors praised each other for their wisdom. The galaxy returned to normal, but small things began to happen. Cargo ships carrying supplies to Earth went missing. Patrol drones near Mars vanished without signals. Strange encrypted messages started moving through the old human networks. Messages the Council couldn't decode. No one noticed the flicker of energy coming from the dark side of the moon, or the hidden factories on Mars that suddenly came back online. The silence continued. But it wasn't the silence of fear. It was the silence of preparation. And as Admiral Rhea stood before the vastness of space, she whispered to herself, words no one else heard. For the first time in 1,000 years. Humanity said nothing, and that silence was the beginning of the reckoning. Weeks passed after the Council's betrayal. The galaxy believed everything had returned to peace. Alien diplomats smiled again. Traders reopened routes and news networks spoke of stability restored. Only humans knew the truth, and they said nothing. Across Earth, factories appeared empty yet deep underground. Their machines worked day and night in silence. Massive construction bays hidden beneath old cities lit up again after decades. Engineers who once built starliners began crafting something else: weapons. Above the planet, satellites once used for weather and communication now watched the skies like quiet sentinels. Their signals were coded, unreadable even by the Council's best decryptors. Every human system was going dark. Deliberately, the Galactic Council noticed these strange changes but ignored them. "They are only adapting," said one alien leader with a lazy smile. "They cannot fight without weapons. Let them work. It keeps them busy," others laughed. "Humans are emotional but not foolish enough to challenge us again." They were wrong, and the silence was their warning. Far away, on the red surface of Mars, a storm of dust hid something far greater, a secret base buried beneath the ground. Thousands of workers, scientists, and soldiers moved like shadows through massive tunnels. They spoke little, but their eyes burned with the same cold fire. At the center of it all stood Admiral Rhea Morgan. Her uniform had no insignia now. She didn't represent Earth's government anymore. She represented something older, human will. Her voice echoed through the command hall. "Every colony is under watch. Every signal is tracked. But they still believe we are broken. Let them believe it." On the large holographic screen before her, the blueprints of enormous ships glowed, designs far beyond anything the Council had seen. Sleek, dark, and shaped like predators of the deep. They were called Leviathan-class dreadnoughts, ships capable of crushing entire fleets. But building them required more than steel and code. They required silence, patience, and rage kept under control. Elsewhere, in the outer colonies, people whispered rumors. Some said Earth had surrendered. Others claimed humanity was planning something terrible. Nobody knew the truth. Cargo captains who once delivered goods now vanished into asteroid fields carrying stolen materials and components. The Council sent small inspection fleets, but none returned. The officials blamed pirates. The reports were closed. Yet in the shadows, humanity continued to move. Calm, quiet, and unstoppable. One night, Admiral Rhea stood in her private chamber, watching the red storms swirl across Mars through a glass wall. The light flickered from the machines below, the heartbeats of their secret creation. She spoke softly to her AI companion, a holographic figure named Erebus, glowing faintly beside her. "How long until the fleet is ready?" 30 cycles, Admiral," the AI answered. "But secrecy is fragile. Council probes are approaching the outer orbit." "Then make them disappear," she said without emotion. Erebus's voice hummed. "Do you wish me to leave evidence?" Rhea looked up, eyes cold as iron. "No, let them think it was an accident." The AI nodded. And in the black of space, 3 Council probes silently vanished from existence. Back on Earth, governments tried to act normal. The Galactic Council had forced a new peace authority to monitor human affairs. Alien ambassadors walked freely through Earth's halls of power, smiling as if they had saved humanity from itself. But even they could feel something was wrong. There was no anger, no resistance, only quiet stares from human faces that revealed nothing. An alien reporter described it best on a galactic broadcast. "It is strange. Humans used to argue about everything. Now they barely speak at all. It feels unnatural." His words were more true than he knew. In the cold emptiness of space just beyond Jupiter, an enormous shadow drifted. It looked like a broken asteroid and dead, lifeless. But inside, hidden behind layers of rock, a new ship waited in darkness. Its engines were silent, its systems cold, but its heart was ready. The first Leviathan, Admiral Rhea, stood on its bridge, surrounded by engineers and officers. The ship's core thrummed like a heartbeat. She placed her hand on the console and whispered, "We will not strike first. But when we do, they will never forget." Outside, the red eye of Jupiter turned slowly, watching. The calm before the fire had begun, and somewhere far across the stars, a council commander received a report from his patrol near Earth. The last line of the message read, "Strange energy readings detected near the moon. Possibly a malfunction." The message ended there. Humanity remained silent. The council remained blind. and the galaxy waited, unaware that the next sound they would hear would be the roar of vengeance. The Galactic Council had grown comfortable again. They believed humanity had accepted its place, quiet, obedient, broken. Months had passed since the Peace Enforcement Act. Alien traders moved freely through human space. Council patrols roamed near Earth, watching but not fearing. They thought humanity was tamed. They didn't know they were being watched. High above the stars in the empty dark near Saturn, Admiral Rhea Morgan stood on the command bridge of the Leviathan 1, humanity's first dreadnought. The massive ship floated within the shadows of the planet's rings, hidden from every sensor. Her crew worked in silence, engineers, soldiers, pilots, all moving like ghosts. Their uniforms bore no flag, no emblem, only the mark of unity. A simple circle of light, the symbol of humanity reborn. Rhea looked out the viewing glass at the stars. "Status report," she said quietly. "Engines cold. Weapons online. Cloak field stable," her officer replied. Erebus, the ship's AI, appeared beside her in a shimmer of blue light. "Council patrol entering Mars orbit," it said. 3 heavy cruisers, 1 command vessel. "Estimated detection of our position in 30 minutes. Rhea's voice was calm. "No, they won't detect us." Far away, the Council patrol fleet cruised toward Earth's region, unaware of the silent storm waiting nearby. Their commander, a reptilian alien named General Saw, sat in his command seat bored. "Another empty mission," he hissed. "Humans are finished. No fleets, no weapons, just fear." His second officer laughed, clicking his sharp teeth. "They are useful only as workers now. It was wise to break them." But as he spoke, the lights flickered across the ship. A low hum echoed through the bridge. "What was that?" Zor barked. "Unknown energy signature, sir. It's right behind us." They turned to the viewing window and froze. Out of the darkness, something enormous appeared. It was not a ship. It was a shadow that swallowed light itself. The Leviathan 1 uncloaked slowly, its hull reflecting no stars, only death. The crew of the alien fleet could only stare. Then, in a single flash, the stars went white. From the surface of Mars, human scientists watched as the signal of the Council fleet blinked off the scanners, one by one, until only silence remained. Rhea's voice echoed through her ship. "Target neutralized. No survivors." Her officers waited, expecting a cheer, but none came. Instead, she stood still, her eyes fixed on the fading light of the destroyed ships. "Erebus," she said. "Send the message." The AI's voice turned colder. "Message ready. To all galactic frequencies." "Yes," Rhea said softly. "Let them hear it." Across the galaxy, in thousands of star systems, communication screens suddenly flickered to life. Alien civilians looked up in confusion. Council leaders shouted orders, but it was too late. The image of Admiral Rhea filled their screens, calm, emotionless, eyes like steel. "This message is from humanity," she said. "You betrayed us. You disarmed us. You took our worlds, our freedom, and called it peace. You feared what we might become, and you were right to fear." Her voice stayed calm, every word sharp as a blade. "You said we were dangerous. You said we were violent. You were right again. But you made us this way. You created the monster you feared." The image flickered. Behind her, the glowing shadow of the Leviathan appeared. "We will not ask for justice. We will not ask for peace. We will only remember, and when the time comes, every act of betrayal will be answered." Then the transmission ended. In the council chambers, panic exploded. "What is this madness?" shouted one alien senator. "Humans cannot possess such technology." Another screamed, "Destroy them before it spreads." But the council's fleets were scattered, unprepared, and divided. For years they had underestimated humanity. Now they faced something they had never seen: human unity. Rhea watched from the bridge as messages poured in, threats, warnings, demands for surrender. She ignored them all. Her second officer approached quietly. "What are your orders now, Admiral?" Rhea's eyes glowed faintly in the dark light of the ship. "We vanish," she said. "Let the galaxy wonder. Let fear grow. We will strike again, when they least expect it." Erebus's voice hummed through the ship. "Operation Silent Dawn has begun." The Leviathan turned away, disappearing once again into the shadows of space. The wreckage of the alien fleet drifted silently. Pieces burning like dying stars, and across the galaxy, everyone, from the lowest worker to the highest council lord, whispered the same words in fear. Humanity has returned. The message from Admiral Rhea Morgan spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Every world heard her voice, cold, calm, and filled with a power that shook the stars. At first, the Galactic Council denied it. They called it human propaganda. They claimed the destroyed fleet near Mars was an accident. But as the days passed, more patrols went missing. Communication routes went dark. Ships disappeared into the void, and everywhere whispers began to grow. The humans are back. They're hunting in the dark. The reckoning has begun. The Council tried to silence these rumors, but fear moved faster than light. Across the galaxy, strange attacks began. In the Orion trade sector, a massive Council supply convoy vanished. No wreckage, no signals, just gone. On the planet Rix Prime, a Council garrison found their base empty overnight. Every weapon gone, every system wiped clean. And on Titan Station, someone hacked the central database, replacing all Council records with two simple words glowing on the screens. We remember. No one saw who did it. No one caught a signal trail. It was as if ghosts were at war, but they were not ghosts. They were human. Admiral Rhea watched from the bridge of the Leviathan 1 as the Council's empire began to crumble. All around her, reports came in from secret human cells hidden across the stars. Engineers, miners, scientists, soldiers, people who had once obeyed the Council, now fighting in silence. They called themselves the Silent Dawn, a network of humans united by one purpose, to bring down the Council that betrayed them. Rhea stood before her officers, her expression calm. They took our pride, she said. Now we take their certainty. Every ship that vanishes, every world that falls into chaos, let them think it's chance. Let them drown in fear before the war even begins. Her second officer nodded. We've liberated 3 colonies already, Admiral. The Council doesn't even realize it yet. Good, she replied softly. The more they deny it, the faster they fall. In the Council capital on Velor Prime, chaos ruled. Leaders shouted across the chamber, each blaming the other. We must strike back. Against who? They're invisible. Find their base. Destroy their worlds. But they didn't even know where humanity truly was anymore. Earth was quiet. Mars appeared abandoned. Every human planet looked peaceful. Yet something was happening beneath the surface. The Council sent spy ships to search the solar system. None returned. One Council member, a gray-skinned being named Senator Kyle, whispered to his aide, "We created this nightmare. We should have left them alone." But it was too late for regret. Meanwhile, aboard the Leviathan 1, Admiral Rhea studied intercepted Council transmissions. One message caught her attention, a secret plan called Operation Clean Slate. It revealed the truth she had always suspected. Years ago, the Council had prepared to unleash a bioweapon across Earth, a virus that would wipe out every human life. Rhea's hands tightened into fists as she read the words. Her officers stood in silence, watching their admiral's face turn to stone. They planned our extinction, she whispered. They called it protection, Erebus replied. Rhea looked up at the holographic star map, the entire Council territory glowing before her. Then mercy ends here. The ship's engines roared to life. Orders spread across the human network. Every hidden base, every secret fleet, every rebel cell received the same coded message. Phase 2, begin the reckoning. In a single night, the galaxy changed. Council stations fell silent one after another. Power grids collapsed. Warships exploded in their own docks. Human fleets appeared and vanished like ghosts, striking only once before fading into space. The Council tried to respond, but their fleets couldn't fight what they couldn't see. The war wasn't fought with armies anymore. It was fought with fear, precision, and revenge. Across the stars, alien civilians began to see the truth. Some even started to question their leaders. Maybe humanity isn't the monster, they whispered. Maybe we were. Back on Mars, Rhea stood before the viewport as distant explosions flashed across the stars. Her reflection stared back, cold, quiet, unstoppable. Her officer approached. Admiral, the Council is falling apart. Their fleets are retreating. Rhea didn't smile. Not yet, she said. They haven't felt what we felt. Outside, the Leviathan fleet drifted in silence. hundreds of ships hidden among the stars, engines dark, waiting for one command. Erebus's voice broke the stillness. "Admiral, the Council's home system has been located." Rhea turned slowly. "Prepare the fleet," she said. "The war of shadows is over. Now we strike in the light." And as the great ships of humanity began to move, the galaxy trembled, for it finally understood. Humanity had not returned for peace. Humanity had returned for reckoning. The galaxy was burning. From one system to the next, the once mighty Galactic Council was falling apart. Their fleets were scattered, their stations in ruins. No one could stop the invisible enemy that struck without warning and vanished into the stars. The enemy had no name, but everyone knew who it was. Humanity. For months, the Council had tried to regain control. They sent armadas, spies, assassins, and diplomats. All failed. Entire sectors had gone dark. Trade routes were gone. Fear spread faster than any weapon. And at the center of it all, deep in the blackness of space, the Leviathan fleet waited. Hundreds of ships, black, silent, deadly, surrounded by clouds of debris and shattered satellites. Admiral Rhea Morgan stood on the bridge of Leviathan 1, staring at the holographic map before her. The glowing star in the center represented Velor Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Council. "All fleets are in position," her second officer said. "Good," Rhea replied. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were fire. "Today we end it. Across the stars the humans moved as one. Every hidden base came online. Every silent outpost began to transmit the same signal, a single tone that echoed through subspace, marking the start of the reckoning. Council commanders heard it too, and panic spread through their ships. "They're coming! Raise the shields. All units to defensive positions." But it was too late. The Leviathan fleet entered Velor Prime's system in complete silence, not through the main gates, but from the shadows of its moons, from deep space where sensors couldn't see. The first wave of human ships decloaked above the outer colonies. Missiles, plasma rounds, and railgun fire tore through the Council's defenses in minutes. Their stations crumbled like sand under storm. The second wave followed, hitting the capital's orbital ring. The night sky of Velor Prime turned red. Civilians screamed as debris rained down through the atmosphere. The war that began in silence now roared like thunder. Inside the council hall, chaos reigned. Alien senators shouted over one another, their voices trembling with fear. "How did they find us? Why didn't we prepare? We must surrender." The council leader, a tall being of silver skin named Archon Valen, slammed his hands on the table. "We do not surrender to primitives," he shouted. "We are the council. We control the stars." But even as he spoke, the floor shook. The sound of explosions echoed through the city. Through the massive glass windows of the council hall, the senators saw the impossible. Human ships descending from the sky, engines burning bright blue, and at the front of them all, Leviathan 1. Rhea's voice filled the council's private channels. "This is Admiral Rhea Morgan of the human fleet. For years you ruled through fear, lies, and betrayal. You called us dangerous. You were right. Now you will see why." Her words hit them harder than any weapon. Council defense fleets rushed to intercept, but their ships were no match. Human dreadnoughts tore through them like paper. Their shields shattered under concentrated plasma bursts. When the smoke cleared, Leviathan 1 stood over the capital like a shadow of judgment. Rhea gave a single command. "Bring me the council." Moments later, she stood inside the ruined council hall. Smoke filled the air. Shattered glass covered the marble floor. The surviving leaders knelt before her. Broken, terrified, Archon Valen glared at her, pride still in his eyes. "You think you've won? You are still nothing compared to us." Rhea didn't answer. Instead, she raised a small device and pressed a button. A hologram flickered to life in the air, documents, audio logs, and videos. The Council's secret plan, Operation Clean Slate, appeared before everyone. The evidence showed their true intent. The plan to release a virus that would have wiped out every human on Earth. The other senators gasped. Some fell to their knees in shame. Rhea looked at them with cold eyes. "You called it protection. You called it peace. We call it what it is, a genocide." Valen's voice shook. "We only feared what you might become." Rhea took a slow step forward. Then you should have feared the day we stopped. Without another word, she turned to her comms officer. Fire. From orbit, the Leviathan fleet unleashed a storm of energy. Beams of light rained down upon the Council's city, tearing through towers and ships alike. In moments, the capital was gone, replaced by a sea of fire and silence. When the light faded, only ruins remained. Rhea watched from the bridge. Her crew stood in silence, no cheers, no joy, only the heavy weight of justice. The council is finished, Erebus said quietly. No, Rhea replied. The council is gone, but justice is never finished. Across the galaxy, alien worlds watched the fall of the great empire. Some feared humanity's wrath. Others saw hope in their defiance. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was free-size but also uncertain, and as the flames of Vela Prime died out, one thing became clear. Humanity had not come to conquer. They had come to end an empire. The war was over. The Galactic Council, once rulers of the stars, was gone. Their fleets shattered, their cities silent, their symbols of power turned to dust. All across the galaxy, the news spread like light through darkness. Humanity had won. But victory felt heavy. The stars that once burned bright with conflict were now quiet, filled only with drifting wreckage and whispers of what had been lost. On the bridge of the Leviathan 1, Admiral Rhea Morgan stood before the great viewing window. Below her, the ruins of Velor Prime glowed faintly, a sea of red embers and smoke. Her officers worked silently. No one celebrated. No one smiled. It's done, her second officer said softly. The council is gone. Rhea nodded slowly. No council. No chains, but peace. Not yet. She turned away from the window, her face unreadable. The ship's AI, Erebus, spoke through the calm hum of the bridge. Admiral, communications are pouring in. Alien governments seek new treaties. Some request protection, others fear retaliation. Rhea walked to her command chair and sat down slowly. Fear is their language, she said. Let them speak it until they learn another. In the following weeks, the human fleets moved through the galaxy, not to conquer, but to restore balance. On worlds that once suffered under the Council's control, human soldiers landed not with weapons raised, but with supplies and medics. They helped rebuild what war had destroyed. For every world that had laughed at humanity's suffering, there were others who remembered their kindness. The humans who had shared knowledge, who had saved lives during the Great Plagues, who had fought beside alien allies long ago, those worlds now stood beside them, and slowly, the fear began to fade. Admiral Rhea walked through the remains of the council hall on Velor Prime. The great chamber was broken, its high windows shattered. The golden banners turned to ash. Her boots echoed softly against the marble floor. She paused where the council throne once stood, the place where the betrayal began. Among the rubble, she saw something small. A child. An alien girl, no more than 10 years old, her skin pale silver like the fallen Archons. She was crying, clutching a broken pendant. Rhea knelt beside her. The girl flinched, expecting anger, but Rhea's voice was gentle. You're safe now. The child looked up with frightened eyes. Will you destroy us too? She whispered. Rhea was silent for a long moment. Then she smiled sadly. No, she said softly. We destroy only those who think they can own us. The girl blinked, confused but comforted. Rhea stood, turning to her officers. Get her to the transport ship. She belongs to the new world now. Back aboard the Leviathan 1, the human fleet gathered. From Mars to the outer colonies, every ship sent a final message. Not of war, but of warning. Rhea's voice echoed through the stars one last time. To all who hear this, the Galactic Council is no more. Humanity does not rule you. Humanity does not seek to, but remember this, and freedom is never given. It is taken and protected by those who refuse to kneel. She paused, her voice steady and calm. We will not forget who we are. We are the children of Earth. We bleed, we endure, we rise, and when the stars turn against us, we make them ours again. Her words were transmitted across every known world. Some feared, some wept, some cheered, and through it all the galaxy knew one truth. The age of arrogance was over. Years later, the ruins of Velor Prime had turned green again. Life had returned to the burned soil. A new alliance was born, one built not on control but on respect. In the center of the rebuilt city stood a tall black monument, a human hand reaching toward the stars. On its base, words were carved in 100 languages. Mercy is not weakness. It is a choice. Admiral Rhea Morgan, now older and grey-haired, stood before it one last time. Her reflection shimmered in the polished surface. Erebus's voice spoke softly beside her. Was it worth it? Rhea's eyes lifted toward the horizon, where the twin suns rose over the quiet world. It had to be, she whispered. So the galaxy would remember. We may break, but we never bow. The wind carried her words into the dawn, and somewhere in the vast silence of space, the stars seemed to whisper back. We remember.